The premise was of the sitcom was that my family, which consists of an ultra-conservative son who is having a relationship with a Caucasian female, and my wife is played by Lenny Gottfried, is sort of ambivalent about it, but if her son is happy, she's happy. Me, I can't see it. Not because of the race difference, but primarily because of his political fix on things. He's a conservative. And we move into Archie Bunker's house, 704 Hauser Street. And I thought that that show had the potential to do as well as most of the other shows that Norman Lear created. Unfortunately, the viewers or those that keep track of such things did not feel the same way, and we had a very short-lived run on the network. But it was a different show. It was a courageous show because Norman was showing a young black conservative, and politically but he's always been able to go against the mainstream thinking and yet bring them back around to a more enlightened point of view. So it was short-lived, but it was still a success in my estimation. Norman would listen, and Norman had his finger on the pulse of America, and he would listen. And for him to listen to me in those days, that was a tribute to his patience and to his prescriptions for sedatives, I guess, because like I said, I was not the easiest guy in the world, and I was not the most diplomatic guy in the world. But Norman, I'm reading his life story right now, which is an incredible read, the title of which is, "And This Too I Get to Experience." I don't know if you've read it as yet, but what a wonderful book. And it's given me such a tremendous insight and an appreciation for the man. And I'm seeing the similarities in our own careers. Norman worked as a writer, and then ultimately, at one point in his career, he was working in a burlesque theater with strippers. When I was a kid in high school, I got the high school dream job of all time. Here you are, overflowing with testosterone and et cetera. And I got a job at Minsky's Burlesque Theater in Newark, New Jersey. And the shows at that time would consist of 2 or 3 really bad B-movie westerns or dramas, and a stripper, and then maybe another movie, and then a couple more strippers. And then, so obviously, but the key for me, the attraction to the job were the comics. They were vaudeville comics. They'd come in from all over the country, that primarily vaudeville veterans. And I learned the discipline then of performers who would do the same sketch 3 times a day, verbatim, never varying their route, only when it was advantageous or was going to help the laughs. But that's when I really began to appreciate the discipline that these vaudeville performers had. And I got to see some of the classic routines, like Slowly I Turned and all the rest of them. And I heard, and as I read Norman's book, I see the similarities between him working in the burlesque circuit and me working at Minsky's. His military service, I wouldn't compare my military service with his. I mean, he flew combat missions, on a bomber, whereas I was just in the National Guard for less than a year. And just so many things. His appreciation of the actors and the writers that he worked with, as I have, I look back on it. So in fact, his book has become a template for me to emulate. So I'm still learning from Norman Lear after all these years. He's 92 now. 92 or 93?
Yeah,
92. He's in his 90s. And he accepts the fact that actuarial tables being what they are, he's not going to be around for his 150th birthday. So we all must go that route. But what the contributions he's made to television. I mean, for me to be able to sit down with my grandchildren and say, yeah, Pop worked for that man. He changed the face of television. He really did, because prior to Norman Lear, the big emotional conflict was on Ozzie and Harriet. Is Ozzie or is Rick going to get to take the station wagon or to the prom tonight? Who cares? Who really cares? I didn't. Give me something I can relate to. And when he brought All in the Family and Good Times and the Jeffersons and the rest of his wonderful shows to television, he gave America something they could relate to.